Tony, very good morning, pal.
Morning, Tony.
Boys, how you doing?
So, Tony, it's a game that West Ham, I think, David, the type of form West Ham are in, will say we'll win this.
Yeah, absolutely, Al. You mentioned it. It depends on what team they put out, really. I mean, there's a few reports I've seen this morning. Maybe Declan Rice might not be playing, and he's a massive, obviously, player for West Ham. So I'd like to see Dec playing. But if he doesn't play, you've got Mark Noble with all his experience. So I'm expecting them to put a really strong team out, and I think Antonio can play as well, which makes a big difference to West Ham.
A few people are saying, Ali and Goffey on social media say, what we're talking about here, West Ham can win this, never mind Leicester.
Of course they could.
We can win this.
So
why wouldn't they put a strong side out?
No, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, if, West Ham are there, are more than a match for anybody, including Leicester. But I'd like to ask Tony as well, and I'll ask Phil the question. Tony, what do you think? And I know I keep harping on about it. Phil was a little bit concerned there. Antonio gets injured. I'm looking at strength and depth. I'm looking at the first team. With Rice and Souček, Fernals, Benrahma. It's an excellent team. But have they got the strength and depth, Tony?
Well, one thing I would say, Ali, the most important thing they've got is a fantastic manager who's experienced in Europe and who knows how to manage a squad of players. That's the one thing they've got in the first place. I agree with Phil. He mentioned about the centre-forward position. I was disappointed. The only disappointment of the window, they didn't sign a replacement forward for Antonio. We know he's going to have problems because of his explosive pace that he uses in the game. So, I know he got suspended for the game on Sunday, which is obviously not very good, but you need cover. You can't go into a European campaign without, a recognised centre-forward, because let's not forget, Mikel's a converted centre-forward. He's not an out-and-out centre-forward. So they do need to put that right in the January window. But, Ali, listen, you know all about European football. You've got to be in Europe come the new year. If you're in Europe come the new year, then everyone can start the dream about what might happen, quarterfinals, semi-finals, etc. But they've got to manage the season properly. It's going to be tough because of the Premier League, but I believe in the manager, and I think he can do it with the squad of players he's got.
I think you're right, Tony, but it was interesting as well, just listening to Phil. There must have been a lot of West Ham fans last night with a wry smile on their face. Haller scoring for Ajax, with a brilliant result in Portugal. Isn't football crazy sometimes?
Yeah, it is. Of course it is. I saw that. I mean, I must admit, I raised my eyebrows. I mean, listen, I got frustrated with Haller because I could see a player there, but he just didn't seem to put the effort in, Ali. And if you don't put the effort in, you won't get the backing of the fans and you won't get the backing of the manager. And he was moved on. There's obviously a talent there, but it doesn't help when you see a player scoring 4 goals in the European Champions League match, does it? But, listen, West Ham have just got to put that right in the transfer window and sign a centre-forward, I think.
So, Tony, how do you see at the moment? Look, we watched the games last night. Manchester United gone down in Switzerland. In terms of Champions League, do you see this? Do you put the English sides right at the top there? Or is it going to be a Bayern Munich or maybe even a PSG?
Well, PSG are going to be dangerous, Al. We know that with the players they've got just across that front line. Bayern are always a big, strong team, aren't they? We know that as well. But the money still seems to be in the Premier League, and they've signed some fantastic players, with Ronaldo arriving at Manchester United. Man City got great players. Lukaku, what a signing for Chelsea as well. So, they're all going to fancy their chances, aren't they? Even Liverpool, I haven't even mentioned Liverpool. We know they've got players back from injury. I think the Premier League is as strong as it's been for a long, long time at the moment.
Tony, on the Premier League, and we're talking about the big four, it seems to be those four are so much stronger than the rest at this moment in time. But just behind them now, this is what makes the Premier League this year for me absolutely gold dust. You've got Leicester, West Ham, Everton have had a great start. Spurs, can I put Arsenal in there as well? We're all competing for that 5th and 6th spot as well, aren't they?
They are, Goffey, and there's other great clubs like Wolves and Aston Villa, historic clubs that they're all trying to get into that sort of between 5th and 10th, really, what you're talking about, isn't it? And they're sort of queuing up. I don't expect the top 4 to change. It's just what order they finish in. I think that will be the top 4. But the challenge is for all the other clubs is to qualify, get 5th or 6th place and get into Europe. And from West Ham's point of view, that's why it makes it difficult, because they need to finish in between 10th and 5th in the Premier League and also manage the European campaign as well. And it's a whole new experience for everyone.
Tony, don't forget Leicester in there as well, Tony.
Yeah, of course, Al. Leicester had the experience last year, so they'll learn from that as well. They got knocked out, I think, last 32 last year. won the FA Cup. I mean, what a football club that is at the moment. The way they organise and run that football club is fantastic. And, you know, I'm delighted that two of my old teams that we just mentioned there are doing well. And Goffey touched on it. Everton ain't doing bad either. So I'm really pleased at the moment, Al, for all my three old clubs.
Tony, where are you, mate, on the stadium situation? Because a lot of the West Ham fans, you know, never felt comfortable leaving the old ground, which was the best. I mean, the atmosphere, I was lucky enough to play there myself, absolutely fantastic. However, I've got to say, speaking to a few of the lads, you know, and some of the performances last year, and looking at the stadium this year, which was rocking for, I think it might have been the Leicester game, funnily enough, if my memory serves me right. And I just got a feeling that perhaps the tide is turning, and I'm hoping it's turning in terms of the West Ham fans now having that home as that stadium.
Ali, it was always going to be difficult. Let's not forget it was an athletic stadium that's been converted into a football stadium. That was always going to cause problems. You mentioned the bowling ground, what a ground that was. That was always going to cause problems. But the thing with, you know, atmosphere at a football ground, the atmosphere is about the fans. And the fans, if the fans are happy, they've seen what happened finishing 6th in the Premier League last season for West Ham. That game, the first home game against Leicester, was as good an atmosphere. I was lucky to be there, as good an atmosphere that there's been at the London Stadium. And if the team's playing well, playing good football and getting results, they'll get the backing of the fans. And, you know, 10, 15 years down the line, no one will be talking about anything else. And hopefully everything will settle down and they'll just slowly improve the stadium as well and hopefully make it into a complete football stadium come time.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.